Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com. Here with some thoughts on a fight that might well present the best betting opportunity this weekend, and that is the fight between former heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield and his opponent Brian Nielsen. Now, before I go further, just remember the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let me just say, let's just think about sports. If a tennis player did not play organized tennis for 9 years and tried to play against someone who gave the number one ranked player, or at least a paper champion, a very tough time within the last 3 years, we would expect the person who was off for 9 years to be rusty and unable to compete, right? Boxing history, sometimes fighters make comebacks after a year, 2 or 3 out of the ring. Sugar Ray Leonard did so against Marvin Hagler. But I've never heard of a guy making a comeback after a 9 year absence against a fighter who has been fighting at regular intervals, like Brian Nielsen is trying to do against Evander Holyfield. Now, let me just say this to all of the people who are going to bet on Manny Pacquiao this weekend, who are paying odds of minus 800 and higher to bet on Manny Pacquiao. Let's ask ourselves, do you believe that Shane Mosley, who fights in regular intervals, still has hand speed, still has foot speed, right? Fought Floyd Mayweather, then fought Sergio Mora his last 2 fights, was able to go the distance against both. Do you believe that Shane Mosley is more or less dangerous in the ring as an opponent than Brian Nielsen, who hasn't fought for 9 years? Right? I would argue that Brian Nielsen, quite frankly, is the more vulnerable opponent, but yet, shockingly, you're laying the same odds, according to Sky Bet, right? A legal UK bookie service for those in the UK. I'll use them to reference the odds on the fight. According to Sky Bet, you're laying the same minus 800 odds to take Evander Holyfield against Brian Nielsen that you're laying to take Manny Pacquiao against Sugar Shane Mosley. I think this bet is a much better bet. Let me just say, I believe Brian Nielsen's only chance of winning this fight, even though it's in his home country, is by knockout. Understand, Nielsen by knockout is a plus 1100. Given the spread between the minus 800 it costs to just take Holyfield to win and the plus 1100, right, greater than plus 800 of Nielsen by knockout, if you're a big money gambler, you can actually straddle the bet and make money if either happens. Just do the math, do the computations to match your risk tolerance. You're not going to make a lot, but you're still able to straddle that bet. Let me also point out, too, that this fight is scheduled to go 12 rounds according to boxrec.com, boxrec.com. Nielsen is the younger man at 46 years of age. Let me just say, when guys who are older than 45 are fighting against sluggers, right, it's almost a sure bet that this fight does not go the distance. Somebody is going to get knocked out in this fight. Older guys simply don't have the temperament to hang out and hang around for 12 months, 12 rounds of violent boxing action, right? If one of these guys senses that he doesn't have the upper hand, I think he's going to bow out of the fight on his stool. That seems to be the preferred way for an older fighter to say, I've had enough, right? Let me go one step further. Let's make this bet much more enticing. And this is only for those with a higher risk tolerance, right? Understanding that Brian Nielsen cannot fight inside. In other words, prime Brian Nielsen could not fight inside. And I would encourage everyone to take a look, and it's on YouTube, of Brian Nielsen's fight in the late 90s against Iron Mike Tyson. All Tyson tries to do against Nielsen is get inside. Nielsen, who does have a big punch, doesn't have that punch when you get inside on him. And keep in mind, this is a younger Brian Nielsen. We don't even know what he has left at 46 years of age, right? Nielsen can't fight inside. Evander Holyfield famously is the guy who fought so well inside that Mike Tyson claimed he was headbutting him and then famously bit off part of his ear. Right? Holyfield, when he wants to be, is a master at pushing the issue inside. Also, Nielsen doesn't have Holyfield's foot speed, didn't have Holyfield's foot speed 9 years ago, certainly doesn't have Holyfield's foot speed today. So I believe there is an excellent chance at a stoppage in this fight. Evander Holyfield, again, according to Skybet, we're not talking in hypotheticals. I'm giving you an actual legal bookmaker in Europe, right? Their actual odds. According to Skybet, believe it or not, Evander Holyfield is a minus 137 to win this fight by knockout. I think that that's simply too tempting to pass up. You need to have that minus 137 as part of your betting portfolio, straddled against Brian Nielsen by knockout at plus 1100, right? If you're a risk taker and you understand the risk, right, just consider the possibility of Evander Holyfield at minus 137 straddled against a plus 1100. You can make money on both sides of the bet. I believe a knockout is the most likely outcome. If you're not a risk taker and you want a far safer bet, just consider the possibility of Evander Holyfield at minus 800 simply to win, straddled against Nielsen by knockout at plus 1100. Again, BoxRec claims this is a 12-round fight. I'm just telling you, Brian Nielsen hasn't even had an 8-round fight in the last 9 years. I don't think Nielsen goes 10 rounds in this fight. I think Evander Holyfield takes him out of his misery relatively early. I think both of these guys are just here for a payday. I think Nielsen is hoping he gets lucky and lands a hard punch on Holyfield, who was getting hit by Sherman the Tank Williams in his last fight. I believe both of the betting options I've given you, Holyfield just to win, straddled against Nielsen by KO, and Holyfield by KO, straddled against Nielsen by KO, I think they are fundamentally better bets than taking Manny Pacquiao and laying the minus 800 against a very dangerous Shane Mosley. Right? I think that fight, there's no way, in my opinion, that Shane Mosley is a less dangerous opponent than Brian Nielsen, right? In other words, you're taking too much risk in the Manny Pacquiao fight for the minus 800. I think this Holyfield-Nielsen fight, quite frankly, is a better play, especially when you can get a minus 137 on Evander Holyfield to knock out a guy who has not fought for 9 years and who could not fight inside and who did not have Holyfield's foot speed when he did fight in the 1990s. Let me know what you think. Leave your comments for me here on YouTube. Visit us at gamblersadvisory.com, and all I ask is that after the fight, you come back and give us, win, lose, or draw, a post-fight report. Thanks for watching.